Well, welcome back to my legislative update. Appreciate all of you tuning in today. You know, back in February, the House started with over 1,700 bills. And the past couple of weeks, we've narrowed that down to 390 bills that we are now going to put over into the Senate. The Senate has sent over a little over 400 bills. So as you can see, the first half of the legislative session, the 57th legislative session, lots of good pieces of legislation have made it through, some not so, but that's the legislative process. So we're really, really happy with where we are right now. I will say, though, the next 6 to 8 weeks will be very interesting as budget negotiations continue. We'll see where those go, as well as our House bills that are currently over in the Senate, and then the Senate bills over here in the House. We'll keep you posted on that. But what I want to do today, though, is highlight some of the huge success wins that we've had here, not only in the House, but Senate and here in the state of Oklahoma. And that is the Accountability Agency Reform Act that Governor Stitt has already signed. Those particular bills will give him the opportunity to hire and fire agency heads, which is something that he talked about on the campaign trail. We in the House have talked about this for several years now. And what that will also do, though, is give the legislature the opportunity to rebalance the appointment authority of the state agency boards. The governor will have his appointments, House members will have two, and the Senate will also have two. So as you can see, there will be checks and balances in place for that. Great win for the state of Oklahoma. Another piece of that is House Bill 2484, and that will establish the Legislative Budget Oversight Office, something that we've talked about for several years. And what that agency will do, the combination of Senate and House, will give the opportunity to give those particular agencies, or that particular agency, going in and digging in for those budgets. Something that's very important, because sometimes that information has not been given to the legislature accurately or in a timely fashion. And this particular agency will have 15 surveyors or 15 folks to look into these particular budgets. And those are something that need to be scrubbed, need to be looked at. When you talk about taxpayers' dollars, the bottom line is to provide services to the state of Oklahoma. And we're really going to be able to do that with this particular office. So very excited, proud supporter of that piece of legislation. Some more highlights from the House of Representatives this year dealt with education funding. Last year, obviously, with the biggest teacher pay raise we've had in a very, very long time, but we're adding to that, continuing that momentum. Several bills I want to discuss with you are House Bill 2470, which would substantially increase in the in lieu of amount that teachers can opt out of receiving their flex benefits. House Bill 1781 will allow school districts the flexibility to pay student teachers. Again, that's something that will give the opportunity to enhance that teacher to come back into that school district. Because what we're trying to do is to stop the teacher shortage here in the state of Oklahoma. And quite frankly, it's a nationwide issue as well. So we're trying to stop that here in Oklahoma. Another bill is House Bill 1360, which would allow the National Board Certification teachers to apply a $1,000 grant towards that certification renewal. Again, we have a lot of these teachers in the state of Oklahoma. This will help with that. House Bill 2521 creates the Oklahoma Educator Loan Repayment Program that will assist classroom teachers with student loan forgiveness. Another great incentive for our Oklahoma teachers. A bill that Speaker Charles McCall passed was House Bill 2502 that will provide a $1,000 tax credit for teachers who purchase their supplies for their classrooms. Again, another little bit of help for our teachers. House Bill 1246 will allow teachers to return to the classroom at a much higher salary than they are currently allowed today. And then, of course, we, the House of Representatives, passed a bill to increase teacher pay by $1,200 from last year. Again, that's something that we continued to talk about throughout the interim in the fall, and now we, of course, made it here in the House. So we'll see where that is and where that goes. Governor Stitt's on board, and we're currently negotiating that with the Senate. So those are some of the highlights that we were able to pass here in the House of Representatives. You know, a couple other personal legislative items are some bills that I was able to file. Retired paid firefighters to return to a volunteer fire department and give their services. You know, when you talk about the shortages in teachers, there's also a major shortages nationwide in volunteer firefighters. You know, here in Oklahoma, 86% of the fire service are volunteers. So when you look at that factor and knowing that we're trying to retain and keep volunteer firefighters to protect your lives, protect your property, this is where the rubber meets the road. And what this particular bill will do will allow those retired firefighters to come out of retirement and provide and help our volunteer firefighters. Great incentive, doesn't hurt their pensions, good piece of legislation. Another bill, actually my first bill that I ever filed in the legislature, was House Bill 1003. And what that will do is give the Oklahoma American Legion tax-exempt status. It's the oldest organization here in the state of Oklahoma that doesn't have tax-exempt status. And these veterans have given us so much. Very proud to carry that legislation. I'm also carrying that legislation for Senator Thompson's Senate Bill 8 here in the House. Very proud of that. And then lastly, something that's near and dear to my heart is House Bill 1228, and that is the dyslexia awareness bill that will make sure that during a professional development day that our Oklahoma teachers can identify dyslexia in our students. And I've talked about this many, many times. You know, you can trace back and look at dyslexia and those students that have had it that have not been able to be identified, not able to be screened. You look at our penal system, you look at our social services and dropout rates, all of that can be connected to many students that had dyslexia. The time is now to act, and we believe that we have the momentum. This is a great first step. Very, very happy we were able to pass that as a body, and now it goes over to the Senate, House Bill 1228. Again, keep your eye on that. Now, I say all of that on the legislative front to say this. You know, while we're up here working most of the week, there are opportunities that you need to get back to the district. And that's something that I've taken great pride in my legislative career, is to attend as many events in my very, very large House District 59, as I possibly can. Whether it be a FFA auction, dinner, or perhaps a community chamber banquet. Many of those were over with banquet season, but attended as many as I could there. District events, high school basketball games, and other high school events, parades, festivals, different things along those lines. And you know, one of the things I've always said is to do your job effectively up here, you've got to be able to have a pulse on your district. And as large as my district is, and as long as I have been out in the district and away from my family and whatnot, it's important. And it's a sacrifice for everybody, but it's something that I feel is necessary to effectively hear the people who hired you to do a job to come back here at the state capitol and be their voice. They hired you to do a job, and I believe that's one of the main responsibilities. So again, I love being out in the district, something that I take great pride in, and again, I personally think the best district in the state. They're able to communicate with me through my office, email, phone, social media, through my Twitter, my Facebook, whatever the case might be, and accessibility is key as a rural legislator. So again, we're at the halfway mark. And I truly believe that the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm very optimistic on where we're going, where we are. You know, we talked about, Governor Stitt has made this an underlined, line in the sand. Oklahoma needs to be a top 10. And I think we're on that way. And again, I appreciate his leadership, appreciate the Senate leadership, but most importantly, the leadership here in the House. Speaker Charles McCall has done a fantastic job herding the cats, if you will, to move Oklahoma in the right direction. So proud to be a part of his team and whatnot. So again, thanks for tuning in. We're going to keep you posted. We'll do a couple more of these as the session goes along. But again, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, take care.